Hey, it's Brooks, Access Control Expert. We're at Automatic Gate and Equipment Supply today. We're going to do some Elika 460 training. Let's go in and check it out.
Automatic Gate and Equipment Supply is based in Dallas. They carry a wide selection of automatic gate and access control parts, and they ship nationwide. Wanted to say thanks to Eric, Chris, and Elika for letting the Access Control Expert School film today's training.
Hey, it's Brooks, the Access Control Expert. I'm here with Thomas Carey from Elika. Do you guys actually consider yourself Elika Viking or Viking Elika, or how does that work?
Elika Access and Viking Access Systems are sister companies.
What is your position there?
I'm the tech support manager.
So we were doing training today, Automatic Gate and Equipment Supply here in Dallas, and we were going over the Elika 460.
460.
One of the things that I like about this that I could see that I could actually use is the infrastructure. So infrastructure is such a big cost in new installations where you don't have wiring, and this takes part of that out of the loop. By that, you can actually the phone wire, you don't have to have it connected directly to it. You can do, what are the two different ways that you can actually transmit voice and data?
So there's two base models to the Elika 460. You have the cellular unit, which comes with an already activated AT&T SIM card, or you have the voice over IP unit, which can either be connected via an Ethernet cable or a Wi-Fi connection. About the only way you can't connect it is via POTS line.
One thing that I found interesting, and I guess more I'm just curious how you guys did it, but it's probably from the technical aspect, it doesn't matter. So literally when I take this thing out, I need to supply it power, contact to the relay to open whatever device I'm opening, and then I need to turn it on. And that's it. I've got voice and data right after I've set up the app.
Correct.
I've got voice and data.
You apply power, you set up your relays, and then you go into our online web application. And once you've registered the unit and selected a plan, at that point you're 100% ready to go.
And one thing about the plan is the plan and pricing, is that directly for the dealers, or do you advertise the plan to the end users as well?
We do not advertise directly to end users. You're not going to find our pricing on our website. We advertise it at these educational type things or to our distributors only, or you can call in and ask about it. But other than that, we don't really advertise it.
So for somebody like an alarm company or access control company who is used to or getting into software as a service or reoccurring monthly revenue, this could not only be a way to directly contact your customers every month to let them know, hey, the bill is due, but also generate revenue by just increasing the price to where it justifies, so they can actually make money off of that as well too. So from an installer standpoint, it's not just install the unit, you're done with the sale and go on. You can possibly...
Correct. If you want to manage the unit and if you want to take care of adding and deleting the users and really being the administrator, you can charge that fee as well if you want to.
So the database is stored locally, so there obviously doesn't have to be anything directly connected at all time. And as far as the web application, all of that stuff is it pushed up through your phone? Is it using your phone to receive all that information, or is it just using the cellular database plan that you have on the unit?
So it's using the cell plan on the unit that then connects to our server, and that's how it communicates either from your cell phone or your laptop or your iPad or whatever you're using to either update information to the unit or trigger the relays or whatever you want to be doing. From
the end user standpoint, other than the monthly service, and there's a monthly service regardless of whether you do the Wi-Fi, voice over IP, or cellular. There's going to be a monthly service, so you have to know that getting into it. But is there a cost with the app?
No.
And is there a cost for the end user and themselves to use the app?
No, there's no cost for the applications. Those are totally free to use as long as you have the system and you have, of course, you're paying the monthly fee for your plan. All the apps are free to use. So.
And whoever administers the app is the person that can change all that stuff. So if in theory you turn that administration over to the end user, then you're out of the loop if you want to be, and then they interface directly with the cloud.
Correct.
All right, inputs and outputs. All right, so what are the inputs for devices such as receivers and readers and all that?
So you've got two 26-bit standard Wiegand inputs for whether you're using card readers or Wiegand receivers or Wiegand keypads, so those can interface with the system. Then you've also got an input station where we have you can hook up your devices that just have dry contact outputs. And then you can set those up to trigger the relays as well.
So when you say input station, that's one thing that I was curious about. Are you just talking this side panel right here?
Well, so
or is there another separate device?
On the side panel, see right here, you've got your two relay outputs, the yellow and the green. Then the blue is actually your input station where we will accept an input from, per se, a Knox switch or a postal switch or a regular receiver, and then you can set it up to trigger the relays in whichever format you'd like.
Okay. In whatever format we like, meaning
Meaning
latch
you can trigger
or
relay
momentary.
1, relay 1 and 2, or relay 2.
Oh, gotcha. And then as far as, so I guess what I just want to make clear, so as far as when you say input station, you're just talking about this input right here.
I'm talking about the blue one because
Okay.
that is looking for an input from a relay.
Gotcha.
Other than that, it would be you have your two relay outputs and then the expansion bus.
So can you use it as an input as far as a request to exit as well too?
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
So you could actually, in theory, use the exit loop to trigger this to open a relay 1 or 2, but the benefit is that you would have the audit log as well too.
Correct. You have the history logs.
So you have two Wiegand inputs. So what's the bit length on those?
26-bit standard.
Okay, 26-bit. And is there any plans on going to 31 or 37-bit anytime soon?
Yeah, we're looking to expand to where we can work with different bit formats, but as of now, it's just 26. So.
Okay. Here in North Texas, we have these Transcore toll tag readers, and they're 37-bit. But obviously, you could buy a converter that takes it to 26-bit. But then obviously you have the duplication, which sometimes that we have. So that takes care of inputs, outputs. You just have two relays, normally open, normally closed, and a comment on those. So then let's talk about how you communicate with it. We've already talked about the cloud, but then we didn't talk about Bluetooth. So is this antenna right here on top, is this Bluetooth or cellular or both?
So that's both.
Okay.
That'll have your Bluetooth antenna as well as your cellular antenna. Or if you're using a voice over IP unit, it'll have your Wi-Fi antenna and then your Bluetooth antenna if you have the Bluetooth installed on the unit.
And I noticed that the cable here looks like a 50 ohm with a SMA connector. So is this just a standard connector to where this can be relocated?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 50 ohm RP SMA is the actual cable that we're using.
Okay.
Reverse polarity SMA.
Reverse polarity?
Yeah, RP SMA.
Okay, I'll put that at the bottom, what all that stuff was. Okay. But I do know SMA and I do know 50 ohm. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you can pull that antenna cap off and you can reroute those antennas wherever they need to go, or even specifically with the Bluetooth, if you wanted to go to a higher dBi antenna and give yourself more range, you could reroute it that way. So.
Okay, because obviously it's not necessarily, although they had cell phone boosters, but mainly as far as the relocation is concerned, would be predominantly for Bluetooth that you relocate.
Correct, because a lot of people's devices sometimes it's very device dependent on the Bluetooth range, and so sometimes people want to be able to open from further rather than having to get in close to the unit itself. So we can actually, all you have to do is get a larger antenna, bigger dBi, like a 10 dBi antenna, and mount it external to the unit, and you'll increase your range pretty far. So.
All right, so we'll get into who this was for and wrap this up here in a second, but I think this will lead into that pretty well. So the form factor, you would look at it and you would say that the form factor is similar to what you would see in a single family residential. And I take that beep that we just heard is just saying, hey, the door's closed.
Correct.
Does it log that in transactions?
It will.
And so it'll log this too in transactions. All right.
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna leave it down.
Yep.
So I'll get pictures of it from the front. So that's just saying, hey, that the door is open and it logs it. Okay. So what's interesting about it, the form factor looks like it would be single family residential, but how many users can you actually have in this?
Up to 200,000 names, codes, and credentials.
So 200,000, it just seems like that was just like, okay, well, maybe 10,000 is okay, 20,000 is what everybody else is doing, so screw it, let's just go order of magnitude higher and do 200,000?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And all of that data is dependent upon the internal memory, which is?
It's an 8 gigabyte SD card.
And that can be expanded?
Correct. You'd have to get it formatted by us.
Okay.
You could expand it per se, I think as high as 32 gigs. which would effectively take your storage to 800,000.
Okay. But so far, how many units do you have in the field approximately?
A couple hundred.
So out of those couple hundred, how many have you had customers call and say, hey,
None.
I need it? Okay, gotcha. 200,000. And in essence, you may have a government facility or something like that may have 200,000 units, but you have to keep in mind what this is for, which is it's got two relays that it's controlling. So real quick before I forget, you can share the database. I won't get too much into the software because I think that's a whole nother video.
You
but
can mirror the database.
Mirror the database. So you still have to amend the database, and then you have to push it out to each individual separately. Okay.
Correct.
But you don't have to do multiple input.
No.
Okay. So here's the crazy thing. Go back to the form factor. It looks like a single-family residential. You have 200,000 units. So let's say that you do have a multifamily residential application or commercial application that has, let's say, 100 different users. So 100 different users. So that means you may have to buy 100 different fobs, which this can take readers, or 100 different remotes, which this can take wireless RFID. However, with the Bluetooth, what does that give you the power to do with your phone?
So the Bluetooth basically turns your smartphone into your credential. So when you download the Elika BLEV1 app, what it allows you to do is when you get into range of the system is you can actually open the gate from your phone.
Okay, so when you get in range, you open it from your phone. Is that something where if I'm driving, is it unsafe to where I have to open up the app, or does it recognize it?
There's two different ways you can set it up. We can set it to auto or manual. Auto meaning that once you get into range, it'll automatically open it. There's nothing that you have to do. Manual being that there's a slide you have to do on your phone.
Okay, is that per unit or per device? Per cell phone or
per phone.
Per phone. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can actually set some people up to where if by chance they're pedestrian users and vehicle users, they may not want their pedestrians to walk by and automatically open up the gate, so you'd want them to swipe, but you may have somebody that's only a vehicle user that may want to just when they pull up. So it's fair to say from a salesperson's perspective, it's very, very simple. You have 100 users, $30 remote, that's $3,000. We won't talk about pricing right now, but so on a new installation, the media alone, it's fair to say, could pay for the actual unit itself.
Absolutely.
If you're doing it by phone. And how reliable are our phones, and how reliable is the cellular network? I mean, it's I forgot who it is, but it's always on is what their whole theme is. Okay, so that gets us into that. And different types of mounting options?
Yeah, we do have a flush mount kit available. So if you want to flush mount it, that is something that is totally possible.
Okay. And there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but it escapes me right now. What's the warranty on these?
2 years.
And what's so you have 200 units out, so availability is now.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other options that should know about? There's
the battery backup is optional.
Okay.
So if you look at the unit you have right now, it is not connected to anything. There's no power input on it, but it does have a battery in there. Provides about 48 hours of standby or 300 minutes of talk time. That is an additional feature. The Bluetooth is an optional feature that does not come standard on the units.
Okay.
But those are things that you can order that will come already installed on the unit if you would like to. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a separate part number to get those options. But you can have one out in the field and add those as options as well, too.
Yes, you can add it on after the fact if you would like to.
And that's this small lithium ion.
Correct.
Okay. And you've obviously been using this for training, so what do you do? Just go home and charge it up every night?
And I can charge it up, or I have a spare battery in my bag that I can swap out and put in there. So.
Is there anything else? We talked about inputs, outputs. We talked about use a little bit. We talked about the cloud a tad bit. I think I'm going to steal some slides from you and possibly add that stuff in there. Bright LCD, anything that we need to know? Oh, we didn't talk about the camera.
Yeah, so we have a day and night digital camera. I don't know if you'll be able to register it on here, but if I cover that up, it should turn red over. That is because there's infrared lights on the unit and a light sensor, so as soon as it gets dark outside, the infrared comes on and we maintain clarity of pictures at night. So.
Okay. So as far as the camera goes, how am I interfacing with those images?
So all the images are stored within the history of the web application. So if you log into the web app, it's going to show you a complete list of everything that's gone on. And then if a picture was taken, it'll have the link to the image right there.
And that's probably where all your data usage
Correct.
comes from.
Correct.
Okay.
That's where 90% of people's data usage is going to come from, is looking at the pictures and pulling the pictures from the system.
I'll hold this open or hold it close so it doesn't beep again.
Okay.
Thomas Carey with Elika Access. I appreciate you talking to us.
Absolutely.
I really do appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Thank you very
taking
much.
the time.